So this is a 1959 Ludwig kit. So it's probably mahogany on the inside. So it's a little different than what Ringo was using. When Ringo did Abbey Road, he had a Hollywood kit, which was made in 68 or 69. This is actually 59. This is actually 67. I have a 67 kit as well. But he had a 12, a 13, and a 16-inch floor tom with his Hollywood kit when he was doing Abbey Road, Let It Be. Let's talk about microphones. What we have here is a lot of D19s. Basically, Geoff Emerick had been using this setup since Revolver. So Revolver was the first time anything more than 2 microphones were used on Ringo's kit. And they pretty much kept the setup the same up until Abbey Road. Even though there's all these mics here, Abbey Road, all mono. The only time we ever hear Ringo's drums in stereo is on the end. And Geoff Emerick recalls using a pair of Coles when he did the end. The rest of Abbey Road is this setup. We have D19s on everything. Rack tom, floor tom, all from underneath D19s. Overhead, D19. Hi-hat, D19. The only 2 exceptions are kick drum and snare. Snare KM56. Kick drum, AKG D20. And we see a C48 microphone used as well in photos, which we have here. So the KM56 is a very different animal than any other microphone that Neumann made of its size. The KM54 is another tube mic they made, similar size, but the KM54 is a small diaphragm condenser. You can call the KM56 a small diaphragm condenser, but what it really is one of the larger Neumann mics, like say a U48 or a U47, with a mini capsule. I mean, God, I think it's probably the size of a dime, set into the mic like it's just a mini microphone. All the other small diaphragm condensers are face out. So the end of the mic is where the capsule is located, and like a CAM84, AKG 451, any of your favorite small diaphragm pencil condensers, same way. The end of the mic is where the diaphragm is. The 56 is not. It is vertical. So it's like you could sing into it like this if you held it up. So that's what makes the 56 such a unique microphone. And Geoff Emerick was also using this microphone in figure 8 a lot of the time. And what they were able to do with that was they were able to cancel out some things. They were able to cancel out toms, cymbals, hi-hat. In some aspects, the figure 8 was used along with the kick and snare under the snare mic, getting some of that kick drum on the back side, which is thought to have reinforced the sound. If we look at these D19 microphones, all of these are under the toms, and I have never really read a theory on that, but this is my theory. What they were doing was they were trying to isolate the toms, and with the technique that Geoff came up with, I feel this worked the best. And I can tell you, from doing it on the top with the D19s and on the bottom of the toms, the cymbal bleed is so much better. One thing also that's really unique to Abbey Road is that Ringo took the bottom head off of his floor tom. All the other toms have bottom heads on. So the D20 might not be a familiar mic to some of you, unless you're Beatle nerds, but basically the D20 is AKG's version of the D12 microphone, which you probably do know. The only difference in the D12 and the D20 is that the D20 has a roll-off at 50 Hertz, and I think it's 12 dB. In the early days, they did use the bass roll-off because of the rules with low end and you know, cutting to a lathe. And I think it stuck with them, and they just used it. I doubt that he used the roll-off on the later records, especially Abbey Road, because the bass drum on that album is pretty punchy, and there's a lot of low end. This setup is great, and the thing about having this many mics on a drum kit, we have 8 microphones on the drum kit, some to mono, with a Fairchild. Usually a Fairchild. Now, they were working on the TG desk at this point, so Abbey Road is known for the famous TG desk, Dark Side of the Moon. Now, part of Abbey Road was done in Studio 3, Come Together, Here Comes the Sun, I believe. A couple other tunes were done in Studio 3. The Studio 1 and 3 still had red desks. Now, the TG desk, for those of you who don't know, is a solid-state desk. It has a EQ on every channel with treble, bass, and presence. When it comes to hearing the drums, it still sounds like a Fairchild to me. Everything's put through the Fairchild, one channel, all summed down, just like he was doing with Revolver. kick drum snare, loud in the mix, kicks off the Fairchild, closes down. That's why the cymbals get washy and whooshy. And we're going to show you that later in this video with some Waves plugins, the Puy Child, and also their TG channel plugins, as well as the Abbey Road mastering plugin.